Hello, fellow disc golf enthusiasts, and welcome back to coverage of the European Championships. We are excited to be bringing you the continuation of the second round here in the back nine, covering the MPO lead card, brought to you by MDG Media. A really incredible tournament at the elite level. We're excited to bring you this coverage. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Elias Lukanen.
What is up, Connor? What is up, viewers? Nice to be here once again. On this back nine that is very scoreable, yet dangerous to score on. We saw some nice scoring from Dennis Augustsson on the front nine, but everybody else on the card not really playing particularly hot. And actually the tied second and also the fourth place have been taken over by Mikael Häme and Rasmus Saukkoreipi, along with Timo Hartman there on the fourth. So these guys really need to pick up the pace on the back nine if they want to stay on this lead card. Which luckily for them, hole 10 offers a great birdie chance, as it is only 193 meters and a par 4, pretty much flat ground. Off the tee you're throwing this low ceiling shot, trying to get as much distance off the tee as possible, but going just a straight low drive. Many people either throwing a straight fairway or even a straight distance driver, as the OB lines on both the right and left are pretty far away. Really not a lot of trouble on this one. And then the approach, you only have a couple of trees to miss, but mostly pretty open. Just need to pick a gap at the end and hope to punch through. It's definitely one of the holes that these guys want to pick up the birdie on.
Joona kicking off our back nine for us with a great low-driven shot. Not pushing the distance too much, but still able to play for the birdie. That's 193, very attackable. Good placement twice will be enough to still attack. And Dennis putting together an incredibly formidable round, already coming in as your leader and not letting up on the pace at all. He has been clean of the bogeys and really looking to translate a lot of those great drives. We see him find a little bit of trouble on his way there, but I think still enough progress.
Yeah, pretty good line there. I believe the catch composition kind of confusing there, as Dennis was actually in the sweet spot. And Niklas also pushing a nice drive towards the left side of the fairway. That is pretty much perfect position there. And talking about Dennis on this hole, Dennis actually got the Eagle 2 on this one with a 105 meter throw-in. So pretty excited to see how he follows that up on this one.
The bar is set high. The field is stacked. We see Albert here really pushing the right side, but able to kick back into the fairway, keeping himself safe. Joona up first, shaping the soft hyzer entrance, looking for some ground play, and he finds it right outside Bullseye's edge. Smooth delivery.
And Albert here, very nice angle from the right side. He has just a straight shot to the basket. Turning it over slightly, but misses the last tree perfectly, and what a nice result there. He's gonna start off the back nine with a tap-in birdie.
And incredible to hear the crowd's enthusiasm and support for Albert, him being their Estonian representative on this lead card. We do see Dennis looking to give it another 2. Really a great bid once again at the birdie, despite having a significant stroke lead and the availability to maybe, let's say, play more risk-averse. He's still really going for it, and we love to see it here. Niklas even giving it a soft chance with the skip. Some amazing upshots by all 4 of these guys.
Looks like we might even have a chance for a bit of a star frame here, if all of these guys can make their putts. Dennis first. We saw some good putting from him on the front nine, although he did not really have to make a lot of long putts. Almost always when he got the birdie, he was pretty close to the basket, only making one from outside the circle. But that's a good hit there, and looks like we're gonna have that star frame here, starting in back nine on hole 10.
This hole yesterday averaged just over par, but in round 2 a few corrections were made as this one came in at 3.95, almost perfectly balanced to the par, with 37% of the field able to find the birdie. We see the star frame for our lead.
first one of the round, I believe, and hope to continue that here on hole 11, as it is one of these technical par 3s that this course offers loads of. Very common element at the end, we have this low ceiling just 20 meters before the basket, so important to keep your height near the ground. Many players either throwing a fairway driver or a hard thrown mid-range here. It's pretty much a straight shot, you really just need to pick a gap at the end. There's once again only a couple of trees to miss at the very end of the flight, and you can miss them to either side and still be inside the circle.
Joona here pushing the ceiling and just a short clip off the branch, but thrown perfectly, absolutely parked at the pedestal. That's a great way to throw first off the tee. In these pressure moments on lead card, you let them know you will be tapping in. It's your turn to keep up. But Dennis has a great speed and attacking mindset here on the course and a skill set to match. Great shot from him as well.
Very nicely done there. And Dennis is putting together another incredible round so far, which is not really surprising. This course perfectly suits his game as he's very accurate at that 100-meter distance. Niklas here trying to go for the flex shot around the right side, but not quite getting the low release there. Lets it go a little bit nose up there, and he's going to have a very long putt to that elevated basket, possibly even having to contend with the low ceiling still.
And we saw quite a reaction from Niklas off his shot, really meaning a lot to him, I think, especially given the circumstances of his round. We see Albert there attacking the green, also pushing the height and ceiling, but able to fight through, and leaves him once again at that in-between range. This basket being elevated will really require a solid commitment. Niklas with a very long look.
Not quite able to make it. He's gonna have a bit of a comebacker there from behind the basket. Let's see all about it. He had some putting struggles on the front, and they're continuing here, unfortunately, as he's just not able to get height on the putts. We saw a lot of low releases from him. I'm sure that's starting to be a little bit frustrating.
Niklas able to secure his par with the wide straddle. Very effective from that range, but also has had some putting woes this round, although really pulling it together towards the later half. And Dennis just making it look like easy work as he continues to push ahead. Sitting at 19 under. Maybe even potentially looking to match or beat his score rather, in round one.
Yeah, Dennis currently 7 under for this round, and his first round was 12. So with an incredible finish, he still has an opportunity to match that round possibly, but it's gonna take a lot of work, especially for the next couple of holes. Hole 11, or hole 12 here, excuse me, is a long, difficult par 4, possibly the most difficult par 4 on the course, as it is playing incredibly long with a low ceiling once again. Off the tee you want something straight with a bit of a right finish. A lot of people either going for a right hand forehand or some right hand turnover. Dennis probably gonna just go with a backhand straight to hyzer shot. And then from there, from the fairway, from the perfect spot, you still have a long, at least 100 meters left to the basket. The approach playing really well for another left to right moving shot. So this hole might be one of the best holes for Dennis, as he's got that left-hand backhand advantage.
We see Joona retaining the box. 2 through 2 so far on the back 9. As we see him really use the width, get a long turnover with the upper left side. I think looked very turned over, unlikely that it flexed out at the end, but solid left to right movement and up the fairway. Dennis here with that slight advantage, as you mentioned, Elias, and really pushing the height. He's looking to get great distance down the fairway, and to applause. That is an absolutely great line.
Very good shot there. He might have fed it out a little bit more to the right than ideal, but should still have a good opportunity to go for that Heiser shot on the second. And Niklas here with a nice looking forehand. He has ended up on the left side of the fairway, possibly setting up for another forehand or even a roller. We have seen some players going for a roller second shot on this hole, which also played very good to the green.
Albert here, playing the power Heiser forehand. You saw him release Heiser to the right side, looking to get around the corner. Flipped up to flat, but you see just very low to the ground on the release. We have him up first here.
Still a pretty nice position to attack the green from, although this forehand needs a lot of power with the Heiser angle. But he has got it. He's within putting distance there, I believe just outside the circle for the birdie. That is a great showcase of his forehand power. Possibly one of the biggest forehands in the world.
Yeah, very few who can execute on a line like that with that power. On the course, we see Niklas shaping the long and Heiser. Look to be slightly off balance with the slope of the footing, but able to also work his way to just outside circle. Certainly a chance at the putt. He is very strong in that circle 2 range, and Joona going with the low speed disc, giving it a lot of height and a ton of snap. We see that fly on in to the circle. These guys really with solid upshots on what was really a difficult hole for the field, averaging at 4.32.
And Dennis here from the ideal position. He has just a pretty simple Heiser for the lefty. Although pushing that OB long, looks like he did stay just barely in bounds there. And he's gonna have another look for the birdie from inside the circle.
Niklas really wanting that one. We see him just a little bit right side, although a very good height. But at that range does find himself still with a bit of distance left on the comebacker. We see Albert making the correction on the height and draining an incredible birdie putt from circle 2 when he needs it most here on hole 12. Great putt.
Super good putt, especially after all the misses that he had on the front nine to finally make that big putt. And that's gonna push his score further under par. He's also putting together a nice start to the back nine here. Already 2 under through the first 3. And just look at this. Nice catch from the basket on the left side. Nice grippy putter from him, I would imagine.
The bazooka strikes again. Great putt for him there. Joona now has found himself inside the circle and able to translate that. Really picking it up here on the back nine as he's worked his way back to 2 under. Stringing 3 birdies together in a row here. Joona playing a very clean game, and Dennis really pushing the OB long, able to get a little bit of distance off that. And to no one's surprise, able to continue his incredible performance, matching Joona 3 for 3 on the back nine.
He's just making the putting look so effortless right now. Those edge of the circle putts or just inside looking so easy with that quick flick of the arm. If you guys didn't know, Dennis originally got his putting stroke from playing table tennis, as his putting stroke is very similar to the table tennis backhand loop shot. So that's a great story behind his putting stroke, and we're moving on to another one of these difficult par 4s off the back nine. 223 meters, this time playing slightly uphill all the way. You have this OB on the right side of the line you see on your screen. You want to land somewhere just barely left of that line to open up the best angle to the green. The closer you are to the right side OB of the tee, the better your angle is to the green. Approach from the perfect spot is usually a straight shot, or even if you're very close to that right side OB, might even open up nice forehand approach for the right-handed players, or Heiser for Dennis.
Joona using the understability there to try and make a big shape, but as he's pushing it. He really needs to sneak back in, and he does. That is a crush, but so close to having a huge difference in distance remaining. He does find himself safe. Wow.
That's insanely far. That is the longest drive I have seen on this hole, and by about 20 meters. I have not seen anybody get even near the road that he went over. That's a crazy distance from Joona. And Dennis, with more of the regular play there, just trying to play to the safe side, hopefully take a small skip. He's going to have a low ceiling approach from that left side of the fairway.
And you can see even players with a lot of power, such as Albert, still opting for the safe power hyzer. Joona's line as well, extremely aggressive, and likely why you don't see people going for that full turnover flight. You see a very responsible looking line here from Niklas, up to flat for the distance, and the reliable overstable finish. So he finds himself in a great spot, center fairway. We'll have Albert up first, looking to get the forehand there. Another display here of his power as he tries to attack the green.
Very nice looking forward pushing forehand. This should be somewhere near the basket, and look at that result. Perfect shot there. And quite impressive, he was able to reach the basket with just a pure flat to hyzer shot, even with that overstable disc. So you can see it is never turning the disc over, just going forward with that nice pushing finish. And that's another great birdie. How often was this hole birdied, Connor? Probably not too often, right?
Putting on a show for the Estonian home crowd. On 13, it was only birdied 22% of the field. It's actually fairly significant, 1 in 5, but it was playing as well over par at 4.39 due to the large volume of double, triple bogeys. You see a great shot there by Niklas, also finding himself inside the bullseye. These guys, especially on these challenging par 4s, really able to separate themselves from the field with their extra touch and distance, showing just why they've made it onto this lead card. And Dennis there fading just a touch early outside the circle, but we've seen he's very competent and comfortable from that range. We'll still leave him a good chance.
And Joona here. This might be the shortest approach that this hole has ever seen in tournament play, as he only has a pitch sidearm from there. What a great play from Joona there, after what looked like a bit of an errant release off the tee.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy stuff, and crazy putt there from Dennis. Just really making it look effortless. I mean, take a look at the scorecard. Look at his composure and poise sitting in the solo lead position of this tournament. We get another replay of that as well from Circle 2. A look at his simplified putting form. He brings it down, he brings it up. Putts on pure feeling and incredible. I think one of the best putters in Europe right now. Absolutely.
For sure. And Dennis is somebody that really brings his best putting game to the tournaments. He's somebody that might even sometimes lose some putting games outside of the tournaments, but when he's in these big moments, I feel like he almost putts even better when he has a lot of pressure on his shoulders. And just look at this play from our lead card. Looks like we're gonna have a star frame on this very difficult par 4.
And Albert there, receiving the love from the crowd. So far, our lead card totally clean on the back 9, not a bogey in sight.
Talking about bogeys, that's definitely not what is likely to happen on this hole 14, as it is a very simple par 4 for this level of players. Only 172 meters and even playing slightly downhill. Pretty much open off the tee. Only difficulty of this hole is that this OB both on the left and right side, is pinching at right around 120 meters. So you need to keep your drive short to keep it hopefully in the wide part of the fairway. If you throw that nice 80, 90, even 100 meter drive, you have a very simple hyzer approach to this green that is fully open, no OB close to the basket. I would be very surprised if somebody does not have a birdie putt on this card, on this hole.
Joona to get us started. A lot of players will opt to throw to the top of that hill and play to the flat ground. Joona ending on the right side fairway in the downslope. Looks to have nestled right up near that distance pin. And Dennis also perfect performance so far on the back nine with the more traditional shape. He's fading back to the middle with the left-handed backhand.
Both of those players in pretty much ideal position off the tee. It doesn't really matter where your drive is as long as you get that 80 to 90 meters off the tee and you're in bounds. Albert here though might be challenging the left side OB. Looked like a lot of hyzer out of the hand, but as he was able to keep it to the short side of the fairway, the OB was still very wide to the left and he's gonna be in bounds there. And Niklas here also going pretty conservative with just a slow overstable disc off the tee.
Absolutely. This hole coming in as statistically the second easiest of the day behind hole 3. Certainly one of the more generous fairways as well as greens. A lot of these greens having very tight OB. This one is very attackable, as you mentioned, from almost anywhere inbounds on the fairway. We'll have Albert up first. I think all of these guys looking to spike the hyzer in, potentially the forehand for Dennis, but Albert keeping this one pretty low and looking for some ground play.
That's a pretty nice shot. Not as close as you would like to be on this hole, as you would of course like to be parked on a very easy hole. But that's gonna give him a good chance for the birdie. And Niklas here, even a little bit closer, just 5 meters away. Should be a pretty simple putt for both of them.
As we see what looks to be a slight tailwind here as well, keeping them safe and on hyzer. Joona also finds himself a little bit longer than he'd like to be comfortably. Dennis furthest off the tee now, playing the forehand hyzer into the green, and he's kept it pretty tight, but looks to have sat down, certainly with a look.
As expected, we're gonna have 4 birdie looks on this one. And Dennis looks like he hit some branches off the second shot. This is for birdie. And misses it. Can't really be surprised for missing a windy circle 2 look, but for him it's almost a little bit surprising.
Not so surprising from that man there, considering his scorecard right now. He is unstoppable and absolutely shredding this course. We take another look. Outside the circle, dead center delivery. With the crowd watching, great moment for Joona Heinänen.
And Albert next. Nice delivery there, perfectly in the middle. That looked very confident. And looks like he has gained some good putting confidence on this back nine, despite the struggles on the front. Niklas here, also for the birdie. Just a pitch putt distance for him. A little bit high in the change there, but that is good for the birdie. And very surprising to have Dennis taking a par here. It's truly an easy hole and a hole that all of these guys are expecting the birdie pretty much every time. As we're moving on to 15, that is also not particularly difficult as a par 4, but definitely more difficult than the last one, as it is longer at 201 meters and playing slightly uphill off the tee. You have that common element on this course, which is the low ceiling off the tee. You want to push something straight under the low ceiling to this open field, setting up a beautiful approach over this big pond where you really have a couple of lines to choose from. You can either try to miss these couple of trees to the left with a nice forehand hyzer for the right-handed players, or you can go around the right side with a flat to overstable shot Really down to the player's choice, but off the tee, important to just get it straight and as much distance as possible.
We once again see Joona shaping quite an aggressive line. Looks to push the ceiling and finds a lot of turn, but I believe off the tree kick there finds himself OB. And Albert here looking to make the correction. The forehand's lower release, quite favorable with the low ceiling. And you see a very nice use of the height there as he fires that one up.
Very nice position there. A little bit more on the right side of the fairway with that forehand finish to the right. But that's going to open up the forehand hyzer look to the basket even more than from the middle of the fairway. Niklas here, I'm sure, looking to match a similar position as Albert. Pushing straighter though, just past that 100-meter sign, so he's gonna have just under 100 meters to the basket. Pretty simple shot for him.
Dennis as well, looking to shape the backhand. He finds himself over near Albert's forehand, really pushing that right side, but opening up for him the backhand hyzer. Quite a comfortable shape that he can rely on, likely to keep it on one angle. And Joona here off his OB, still with a lot of work to do, pitching up before the pond.
Niklas here, nice hyzer look to the green. He's going wide, trying to get around all of those last trees, but a little bit short, not quite able to get the distance, possibly even hitting that last tree on the right side. He's gonna have a circle 2 look for the birdie, as Dennis is already going a very quick player. And just look at that delivery. He's gonna have another tap-in birdie, he's gonna be moving to 10 under for the round, I believe.
A pretty incredible pace, especially if you're already leading the tournament. We see Albert there firing one into the green. A lot of height and speed on that, almost even putting it in. Shout out to you, Elias, for actually eagling this hole with a throw-in in round 1.
Thank you, Connor. In a different division, we're actually playing the European Junior Championships on the very same course, the very same location, very same time frame. As we saw Joona there, just hitting the last trees, he's still gonna have a look for the birdie. Niklas here. Important putt for the birdie, not quite able to get it. He's gonna continue his bit of a slow round.
And great to see Albert give it the run for the 2 and find the 3. Always a great feeling as you see him run away with that birdie. And he's putting together a really solid back 9. Joona there with the bogey save off the early OB. Does get the applause, although he obviously not so pleased, but really still a very solid performance here on the back 9. From both Dennis and Niklas, some tap-ins for the birdie and par respectively. Dennis at 22 under at this point. 3 holes left, looking to beat his incredible 12 under if he can end out strong.
And he has a real chance to do it, especially since this hole 16 next up is a very birdieable hole. Another one of these low ceiling technical par 3s, only 101 meters, and it's a straight shot. Really the most difficult part about this hole is getting that distance even with the low ceiling. You really have to hit your height perfectly, height and power perfectly to get that distance, not be short, and also don't go OB long, because the OB long is only about 6 or 7 meters behind the basket. So all about that height and distance control here.
Absolutely. A common and recurring theme here, the combination of both the low ceiling as well as the OB long. Really, the first encouraging players to disc up, and then the second punishing you if you find too much distance. Really thoughtful design. And we see a little bit of that high ceiling come into play there. Dennis here, shaping a soft flex. And you see it fight through the branches. He works his way up to the circle. The man will not stop. He continues to push for those birdies.
Niklas here, trying to put, I believe, a fairway driver just under the ceiling. And look at that shot. Beautiful line. He's gonna be on the edge of the bullseye there. perfect shot and making a bit of an adjustment as he was going mid-range in the first round. So understanding that the fairway driver gets to the basket much easier than the mid-range. And Joona there. Unfortunate high release to the left side. He's gonna have a bit of an approach left for the par. Although should be pretty easy there with only about 70 meters left to the basket.
Yeah, great shot for Joona's game. And you see it there, catching the cage. What an incredible bid. Unclear if he actually did want to throw it in or was trying to park it on the elevated, but regardless, an amazing throw. Albert able to jump putt his way up there, not taking on any risk on this elevated either. And he's put together a great back nine, continuing to push Dennis as our leader. And you see why he's in that leader position. Just effortless birdies as he continues his rampage through this course.
Very nice stroke there and able to push through the bit of a left to right wind with ease, as Dennis has a very flat release, not really affected by the wind that much. The wind was something that we had a bit more in this second round compared to the first. A lot of the holes, especially towards this open part of the course, playing a little bit more difficult with the wind, at least mentally more difficult, as we're gonna be moving to the last two very difficult holes on this course. Hole 17, not difficult as far as the shot shape and distance, but it's very treacherous. Tunnel shot with this Mando tree on the right side, forcing players to go down the middle. And this is another one of these tunnel shots, kind of like hole 8, where you have the tight tunnel, you have to go down the middle, but if you miss the tunnel a little bit, hit some trees, you have a high chance to kick either right OB or left OB. OB, once again, very close to the edge of the tunnel, only about 5 meters from the right side or the left side trees.
One of the most pure tunnel shots you could design. Danger on all sides. We see Dennis to get us started. Playing the hyzer flip, he really pushes the width and height, but only catching leaves. He's able to get himself up there into circle 2, looking for the putt. Even with that height, doesn't find too much fade towards the end of the flight. And Niklas here.
Very nice angle there. And just barely getting on the short side of the path there. If he had hit the top of the path, he would have been inside the circle for sure. It's actually a pretty common result on this one, people hitting that path just 20 meters short of the basket. But Niklas is gonna have a C2 look as well. And Albert kind of sneaking through the right side, but he has made it inside the circle, and he's gonna have a great chance to continue that solid back nine of his.
Joona, since his bogey on 15, just looking a little bit off on the releases, and you see what it means to him competing on this grand scale, battling to maintain his position going into round 3 of 4 tomorrow. A great delivery to the green there. The low forehand hyzer.
Dennis here from around 18 meters. And wow, what is this man doing?
He's too good.
That's insane. He's 12 under once again for the round, and he still has one very birdieable hole left. Just look at this. He's putting it so far up in the air and knows the distance perfectly.
It's incredible to watch, and really, really well-deserved rounds even, both of them for Dennis. Niklas with his look from the circle 2. Bid there for him, unfortunately a little bit to the right side. And Albert with a great drive leaves himself with about 7 and looks to have made the correction to his putts, now consistently finding the birdies on the green. He pushes himself to 17 under going into the final hole.
Very good back nine also from Albert, as we have already mentioned a few times. Really the back nine playing quite easy looking for these guys. even though arguably it is just as difficult as the front. And talking about difficult, that is exactly what this hole 18 is. 161 meters going way downhill, very reachable by all players on the card with even a Heise shot. It's really all about managing that distance as you're flying over out of bounds for the entire way of the flight. Circle looking pretty small from all the way up to the tee, so quite often do you see people at that 10 meter range or more. Really difficult to park the hole just because of that distance is so far. And today we had a bit of a headwind. And not just a bit, you can see the leaves just dancing around in the wind. Players have to throw something pretty overstable to fight that wind.
And also the elevated team ensuring that all the angles must be pure to not be punished. We see Dennis playing the high and wide hyzer over inbounds. The overstability really kicking in late, but he does not able to cross back inbounds. Dennis there goes OB for the first time in round 2 on the final hole. Albert now.
Going pretty wide to the right. Looks like a really overstable disc. He needs to come down before the long OB. Still needs to slow down, and it does. He's gonna be in that very common circle 2 range on this one. And a possibility to pick up a stroke or even 2 strokes on Dennis, who is likely to be taking a 4 on this one as he went out of bounds pretty early.
Niklas here with a great commitment off the tee. Very wide, a great height and speed, even falls off the front, and fantastic shot for him to end out his round. Recalling that on the first hole he took a quadruple bogey and then proceeded to chip away at the damage, and even now finds himself well under par. A great recovery for Niklas here, ending with a fantastic shot. Joona.
Airing out to the safe side. The left is safe play here. I'm sure he was not going for the safe play, but ends up there around the 20 to 25 meter range. And Denka here, not even having a putt at the green, just having to approach with forehand. And that's nicely done there. He's gonna have to, this sounds very wrong to say this, but settle for the 11 under round.
I'm sure he'll be all right with it going into day 2, most likely as the leader again with such an incredible performance twice. As we see from Joona, what looked to be a layup for Albert, knowing that he can take a safe par here, confirm his solid round. And we see Dennis there, a short putt for his bogey to 11 under total, just 1 behind his pace in round 1. And the man is really on fire right now. So good off the tee and so good on the green. There's looking like there's very little that he can't do here.
Niklas here to still put together a respectable -5 round, even after the quadruple bogey on hole 1. Quite well managed there by him. And Joona for the 3 under, Albert for the 6 under. Everybody on the card, despite the struggles on the front, having some pretty decent rounds. And I believe we're gonna see that on the leaderboard here, as Dennis with that big 6-stroke lead over Albert. And third, Bodan Bilek from Czech Republic, shooting an incredible double digits 10 under par, jumping I believe 11 spots from all the way from the 14th position. And Niklas Anttila with that birdie on the final hole is going to be finalizing our lead card for tomorrow. What an exciting round that was. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you Connor for doing commentary with me once again.
Always a pleasure, Elias, and that's it, the halfway point of the tournament. We are 50% of the way there. Make sure to tune in for the remaining 2 rounds to see the exciting conclusion and see who will be crowned your European champion of 2023. Thank you for joining us, and make sure to join us for the next round.